Hey makers, this is Dhruvin, and in this episode I am going to talk about how you can upload multiple files to SharePoint Document Library using PowerApps. Along with that, we will also display the saved image files into some sort of image gallery and create complete image gallery operation on the screen. So let's get started and explore this functionality in detail. But before that, if you haven't followed me on my Instagram so far, do follow me because this is the platform where I'm uploading short content on Power Platform. So without further delay, let's get started. So first of all, let me show you my document library structure. So here I do have my SharePoint document library called social media. Here, this is the out of the box library column, name and description. Over here, I want to simply upload the files via PowerApps. So let's get started with that journey. Over here, I have opened my PowerApps and this is the one blank canvas application I do have on my screen. Now, first of all, to upload the file, we need to somehow add some sort of attachment control and one description text box over here on the screen. And to do that activity, let's go to the insert menu and search for the attachment control. When you are searching for the attachment control, you will not be able to see anything because attachment control is not provided in out of the box PowerApps. For that, you need to use one trick. And to do that, you need to connect any SharePoint list first. So let's click on add data and let's provide our SharePoint list URL over here. So my site name is social media, and from this social media site, I want to connect my taste list first. So let's connect that. I am searching for the SharePoint connector over here. Let's provide the site URL here. And here is the taste list I do have. Let's connect that out. Now, after you connect your taste list over here, let's add one edit form on the screen. For that, click on the insert menu from the top corner over here and search for the form control. Over here, we have the edit form control available as a classic form. Let's select that. As soon as you do that, supply the data source over there, which is my taste list. Now, over here, click on the add fields, and we know that SharePoint list always have the attachment column as a by default column. So let's add the attachment column into this form. Click on add, and that will add that control on the screen. Now this is the key. This attachment control is something which we need for our multiple file upload to SharePoint document library. And to do that, first of all, let's unblock the card. After that, shrink your form a little bit and arrange it somewhere on the page. Copy your attachment control inside the data card. So over here, you can see this is my whole attachment control. And if I open even the tree view, let's copy this data card value 3 from here. So I'm using Ctrl C. And I'm pasting it somewhere outside on the screen, and that is something which is adding this kind of big attachment control on the screen. Let's shrink a little bit and arrange on the page. Then let's delete the form that we have added, and we can remove the SharePoint list as well if you want. I'm just removing it, and I do have my attachment control available. So this is the trick that you need to do in order to get the attachment control on the screen. Now let's remove these errors. So click on edit in formula bar and remove all of this code where you can see these errors. So I removed this error. Click on edit again, and this error as well. Let's remove it. And I think we are sorted with this. There is one more error. Let's remove it. All the references we need to completely remove. So whichever code is error out, completely remove that code. That's the only thing you need to do. And then at the end, you will be having this kind of error-free attachment control for yourself. Now, this attachment control is something which you need to add on your screen. So I have added this control on my screen, which is over here. Right? With that, I also want that description should be added by the user. So probably I will add one text input control for that as well. So I am adding one text input control, and probably let me make it a big one, and let me go to the property and let me just make it like a multi-line text. Okay, and let me remove this default value from here. And this is how the control looks like. Now let me add some label control over here on my screen. So I'm just giving this as a description. So let's rename the property over here. So I'm making this as a description, and let's copy the similar label and add here, and let's make this as an attachment. Alright, now let's add one upload button as well on the screen. So I'm taking one button control and let's rename this button. So I'm changing the button's text property to upload, and our base framework is at least ready. Now the question arises that how can we save this particular file and description into document library, because patch function in the PowerApps is not supporting the attachment as a data type. For that you need to use the Power Automate flow as an alternative. So now let's explore that. To upload the file, let's create PowerApps flow. For that you can go to the automate section over here and click on add flow. There is an option available, create a new flow. You can start creating flow directly from here, or you can create the flow inside the Power Automate as well and add that flow over here as well. Okay, so let's start creating from the blank. So I'm creating a blank flow over here. Let's provide the name of the flow, and here I do have our PowerApps trigger available. Now let's do one thing. Click on add input. So I'm just clicking here, and let's provide the data type as a file, because we want to store the file via PowerApps to Power Automate. So let's have file content, and let me take one more text column called description. So I'm taking one column description. Alright, click on next, and let's add one compose action just to save the file. I'm adding one compose action, and let's save this stuff, because to edit the flow into this kind of user interface is really clunky, because it provides very less real estate and very less features over here if you are creating the flow on this particular screen. So let's save it, and then we will edit the same flow from the flow portal. Once that flow is saved, you can see that in the Power Automate section inside the PowerApps you will be having that particular flow. Now let's open the Power Automate and go to My Flow section. Over here the flow that you have created inside your PowerApps, it's just been appeared over here. Let's edit the flow from here now, so we will have the better user experience. I am switching to Classic Designer at this moment, and now we can simply remove this compose action if you want. Now the next task here is we need to simply create the file in the SharePoint. So let's create a file in the SharePoint. So I am just creating a file, and over here you need to provide the site address. So let me supply my social media site over here. Then you need to supply the folder path where you want to store your file. So in the SharePoint list, basically I have this document library called social media. Into that library I want to store my file. So I will provide this library as my folder path. Let's click on the folder option and select social media. Then you need to supply the file name over here and file content over here. So first let's supply the file content. So here you can see I applied file content, and this is how it looks like. Now for file name, what you need to do here is simply you need to copy this stuff from here, go to the expression tab and paste it out. Remove the curly braces first from here, and from the beginning as well there are some sort of @ and curly braces will be there. Remove that, and now instead of content bytes let's add name. So the final formula looks like this: trigger body, file and name. Let's supply it, and this is how it will look like, and this will create the file. After creating the file, we obviously need to update the description as well for the file. For that, let's add one more action over here called update file properties. Again, let's supply the site address and library name. So I have provided my library name over here and site address over here. Now we need to supply the ID. So whichever file is created over here, the same ID we need to supply over here. Let's click on that and supply that item ID. And in the description, now let's supply the description parameter that we have created inside our PowerApps. And that's pretty much it. Our flow is ready. Let's save the flow. Now we need to go to PowerApps and need to refresh the flow one more time. So let's click on refresh from here, and it's being refreshing. Now on this button click, when user is uploading a file, we need to store those files into our SharePoint list. And in order to do that, we need to write on select event of the button, and there we need to trigger our Power Automate flow. So let's select the button and go to on select event of the button. And over here, let's call our Power Automate flow. For that, open the formula bar and let's provide the name of the flow, which is YT file upload demo.run. And then you need to start the bracket. The first parameter that we need to supply over here is our description. So let's supply it. And for that, our description is coming from this particular property. So this is my text box, and what's the ID of the text input, which is text input 1. So let's supply it. Text input 1 text input 1 dot text, comma. Next parameter we need to supply is our files, and for file we have this attachment control. Okay, so let's supply that parameter. In file you need to supply the record type, and for record type you always need to use curly braces like this. So let's do something like this and finish the bracket. Okay, and now here you need to provide two parameters inside that. First parameter is content bytes, and in content bytes we need to provide this attachments content. And first of all, let me do one thing. The attachment control that you have added on the screen, let's rename that. So I'm just renaming this as attachment control. And this attachment control will give us one property called value. That's something we need to supply. And over here, attachments are multiple. So we need to use like this. First of attachment control dot attachments, and from there we need to supply its value. And second parameter that we need to supply over here, it's name. And in name, what we will supply? Same thing, but instead of dot value, we will supply dot name. Right? And here we are. Let's format the text. And here how the final code looks like. So we use attachment.run, we supply our text input for the input, and then we pass the entire file object where we are passing the first attachment over here. Okay, so this is how it looks like. But here the thing is that this code will work only for one attachment. Okay, now in our case we want to allow user to create multiple attachment at the same time. At the time you need to use for all loop on your attachment control. So we need to tweak this code a little bit. So now let's tweak that. But in your case, if you have only one attachment, you need to do up to this point. Okay, now let me do this thing, because we have the multiple attachment control, and we know that in the PowerApps we have for all loop for multiple looping. So this is my attachment control, and let's loop through the attachment control. So if I go here, let's go and search for all control, for all, and inside that let's provide attachment control dot its attachments, and let's use an abbreviation as that attachment control. Okay, then comma, we need to use the same flow, and over here we need to use the same text box, but instead of this we need to use like AC dot value, because we are looping through each one by one, and then whatever content byte will be there or whatever name will be there, it will be stored. Okay, so let's supply that. And same way over here as well, we need to supply the exact same name. Alright, and let's finish the bracket at the bottom, and let's format the text at the end, and this is how the final code looks like. So we are looping through attachment control, because attachment control, when you hover over it, it will provide you two property called name and value, and that's something we need to supply as a file object. Let's close this stuff, and now let's test this functionality. For that, I am simply uploading some description over here, like okay, description, and let me upload some sample file over here. So I am uploading some image file for myself. So I am uploading two image file from here, and let's open that up. So I uploaded two images, and let's click on the upload button. As soon as you upload, it will start triggering your flow. Let's go to the flow run over here and see whether it's successful or not. And here we are. See, the flow ran successfully. Let's click on that and see the run. Over here you can see that it is passing that file object, then it created the file in the SharePoint, and then it updated the description property. And even if I go to the library directly, you can see this file has been successfully uploaded, and even if I'm opening this, it is opening this image perfectly on my screen like this, right? So this is cool. Now the thing is that my file has been stored successfully via this approach. Now I want to show the same file in some sort of gallery control on the screen, and when someone click on that, it will open that image in a big form. How can I implement such functionality? Let's have a look. So what I'm doing right now, I'm on the same PowerApps at this moment, and this time I will create one kind of gallery control on the screen. For that, I'm just clicking on insert menu and search for the gallery, and I'm just taking one horizontal gallery for image presentation. So let me add one horizontal gallery, and let me provide this gallery on the screen like this. And over here, let me choose the layout like title and subtitle. So it is looking like this. Now over here, let's supply the data source. So let's go to the data source property and search for the SharePoint list that we have added. So our SharePoint list name is social media. So first we need to connect that library. Go to add data, search for SharePoint, select the site and select the library that you want to connect. I'm just connecting that library over here. And now let me supply that library as a data source. So I supplied that library to my gallery control. And now over here, the thing is that in image, we need to provide like the image preview you want to see here. So let's provide, instead of sample image, this item dot thumbnail dot large. So it will show you that particular image preview over here for yourself. Okay, and image position, let me just do it like a fit. So what happen here is it will show that complete image on the screen. And then if you just want to add the description over here for yourself, so let me just add like this item description, and I'm just printing that description over here. So this is how it looks like. And with that, I also want to showcase the date. So I will just add one date column, this item dot created on. Alright, so we will get to know that when actually it was updated. Okay, let's shrink our gallery a little bit. I want to image to be smaller like this. I also want my card to be stretched a little bit. Okay, and let me just reduce the height of the gallery as well. With that, if you want to add any other property, you can add that as well. That's totally fine. Okay, and what you can do here is you can provide some sort of refresh button as well if user want to really refresh it manually. So let me add one icon, refresh. So on this refresh icon, let's provide one property called refresh, and inside that let's provide the data source name, our library. Okay, so sometimes when it uploaded, after that if you want to immediately refresh, we can refresh using this option as well. Or you can do also one thing, as soon as the file is uploaded, After that, maybe call the refresh function to refresh your gallery. So let's apply that. Okay, and now let me just upload some new file over here. Okay, so I'm just doing like new taste, and this time let me upload another file. So I am uploading one sample image over here, and let's click on upload. So this will start uploading, and it's being uploaded. Let's refresh and see whether it's available or not. So yes, it's available perfectly. Now I also want that when I open this image, basically it should open that image into full screen mode. And for that, what we'll do here is simply, this is the image control from the gallery. Let's select that control and go to the on select property of that. So I am going here and going to on select. And now on select, we will apply one line of code over here called launch. And in launch, we will provide this item dot link to item. That's pretty much it. Alright. And now let's see. So let's say I just wanted to open that in a big mode. So I'm clicking on that and see it opened the preview of the images into the new browser window like this. Right. And if I'm clicking on this, it is opening this. Right. So this kind of stuff you can build it for yourself. Now let's say here I want to provide as an option as well that user can delete the images as well from the screen. So maybe I can provide some sort of delete icon as well on the gallery. So let's provide some trash icon. So I'm just supplying that. Let's configure on select property of the trash button. So over here I will use a function remove. In remove, first of all, let's provide the data source, and then let's apply the current item for the removal. And after that, let's provide a success message that okay, file has been removed successfully. Let's format the code. Let's save it up and let's play it out. Now let's say I want to delete this image. Then I will simply clicking on the delete option, and this will delete that file from the data source, and see it's been removed. Similar way, if you want to remove this, you click this and it will remove that file as well from here. So that's pretty much all about uploading multiple files from PowerApps to SharePoint. Hope this video is helping you and valuing your time. If so, please hit thumbs up and subscribe my channel. I have seen that 70% of you are just watching the content but not subscribing the channel. Please do subscribe my channel because it's free for you, but it is helping me in lots of other way, and that inspire me to create such amazing content on the internet. Looking for training or any paid consultation? The website link is available on the channel cover homepage. Also, if you want to follow me on my Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn or any other social media handles, all the links are available in the description box. Do check it out. With this is Dhruvin signing off. See you in the next session with some amazing content. Till then, have a great day. Goodbye.